a gallon for gasoline. So the costs have come way down. And one of the things I ran on was that. I ran on the border. We have the best border in the history of our country, 99.99%. It was last week, 3 people came in, 2 of them for medical reasons. We let them in because one of them had a heart attack. I think it was a nice thing to do, and one of them had something else. So we've never had, I had very good numbers for 4 years, but we really topped it. And I want to thank Christie and Tom Homan. They've done a fantastic job, but nobody mentions that anymore. Remember, a few months ago, the border was a total disaster. People were coming in by the hundreds of thousands of people a day, a week, a month. I mean, we had a month, 2 million people came in 1 month. The border was being overrun, and a lot of bad people, criminals, murderers, drug dealers. We had some of the worst people in the world coming in from all over the world. It's totally closed. And you know what? People are coming into our country, but they're coming in legally. So we've done a great job. Elon knew that. Elon endorsed me very strongly. He actually went up and campaigned for me. I think I would have won. Susie would say I would have won Pennsylvania easily anyway, even if the governor ran, the real governor, not the governor from Minnesota, he's a sick puppy, that guy. That poor guy, I feel sorry for him. But they made a bad choice with him. But if you pick Shapiro or anybody else, I spoke to him recently about his house being set on fire, which was terrible. But if they picked him, I would have won Pennsylvania. I won it by a lot. But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem. And he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars. And it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric, but we want to have a gasoline, combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have we want to be able to sell everything. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, he became a little bit different. And I can understand that. But he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody. And he never had a problem until right after he left. And if you saw the statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily, it's very fresh on tape, he said the most beautiful things about me. And he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
Mr. President, I just want to clarify, did he raise any of these concerns with you privately before he raised them publicly? And this is the guy you put in charge of cutting spending. Should people not take him seriously about spending now? Are you saying this is all sour grapes?
No, he worked hard and he did a good job. And I'll be honest, I think he misses the place. I think he got out there and all of a sudden he wasn't in this beautiful Oval Office, and he's got nice offices too. But there's something about this one. I was telling the Chancellor, this is where it is. People come in here, even from Germany. They come in and they walk into the Oval Office, and it's just a special place. It's, World War I, it started and it ended here, and World War II, and so many other things. Everything big comes right from this beautiful space. It's now much more beautiful than it was 6 months ago. A lot of good things are happening in this room. And I'll tell you, he's not the first. People leave my administration and they love us. And then at some point they miss it so badly. And some of them embrace it and some of them actually become hostile. I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it. But we have it with others too. They leave and they wake up in the morning and the glamour's gone. The whole world is different and they become hostile. I don't know what it is. Someday you'll write a book about it and you'll let us know. Yeah.
Mr. President, speaking of ending wars in this room, you were very critical of Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. What kind of play is he playing from your perspective? What are his...
Well, look, he got hit. He's been doing hitting, so I understand it. But he got hit hard. And I don't think he's playing games. I think I've always said he wanted the whole thing. I thought he wanted the entire, everything having to do with Ukraine. That's something that would have never happened if I were president. The election was rigged. I didn't get to be president, but I got to be president now. And I think it's a much more important presidency. Other than a couple of things like that, the war would have never happened. The war with Ukraine, with Putin, would have never happened, ever, not even a chance. And it didn't happen for 4 years. And it wasn't thought of. I used to talk to him about Ukraine a lot. It was the apple of his eye, but he would have never done what he did. And I think mistakes were made by him, but I think mistakes were made by other people. The president should have never allowed that war. Biden should have never allowed that war to happen. If you had the right guy in here, that war would have never happened. Israel would have never happened with Hamas. That would have never happened. The attack on Israel would have never happened because Iran was broke. They had no money. They had no money to give to Hamas or Hezbollah or anybody else. And all of that would have never happened. Inflation wouldn't have happened. It was caused mostly by energy. And the Biden administration messed up my great energy policy. We were down into the 190 a gallon, and it would have never happened. It was caused by energy and their bad spending on the Green New Scam and other things that they spent on. But all of those things would have never happened. But maybe most importantly, the war chancellor with Russia would never have happened with Ukraine. It was something that would have, you know, I dealt with Putin a lot. There was no chance, zero. And you know, a lot of people say, how do you know? For 4 years it didn't happen. There was never a chance of it happening. And he understood the consequences. Now, it's a shame. And when you see all of those people, they came out with a report today that millions of people have died, much more than people thought. And I've been saying that for a long time. The amount of death in that war is far greater than the news has been reporting, or than, frankly, that either side has been reporting. It's a very sad thing. And I can tell you, just speaking for the chancellor, because we speak about it, he feels the same way. He wants to see it ended. Would you like to say something?
Absolutely. And I'm here, Mr. President, to talk with you later on how we could contribute to that goal. And we all are looking for measures and for instruments to bring this terrible war to an end. And may I remind you that we are having June 6th tomorrow. This is D-Day anniversary, when the Americans once ended a war in Europe. And I think this is in your hand in specific, in ours.
That was not a pleasant day for you?
No, that was not a pleasant.
This was not a great
in
day.
the long run, Mr. President, this was the liberation of my country from Nazi dictatorship.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
And we know what we owe you. But this is the reason why I'm saying that America is again in a very strong position to do something on this war and ending this war. So let's talk about what we can do jointly, and we are ready to do what we can. And you know that we gave support to Ukraine, and that we are looking for more pressure on Russia. The European Union did, and we should talk about that.
We will talk about it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's good timing. The numbers for our country are through the roof, the economic numbers, because of the election and because of tariffs and other things, a lot of things. But we've had some of the best numbers we've ever had. They were reported yesterday, the day before, and even today. Country's doing really well. I think that one of the things you'd be most interested in is that 6 months ago, we were having a hard time getting anybody to join our military. I mean, they just couldn't do it. The numbers were record low. We couldn't get people to join the military. It wasn't me. This was before I got there, the past administration. But 6 months ago, a year ago, the numbers were record low. You couldn't get them to join. That included the police. And you couldn't get them to join. Now, we just hit the highest number in the history of our country, we think, but very close, but the highest in the history of our country, recruitment, joining the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, police forces all over the country.
What did you do for that? What was the reason?
Spirit. They love our country again. You know? You're going to do the same thing. Spirit. We have great spirit is back in our country, and it's very simple. And, you know, it was only, Susie, 6 months ago, right, that you got reports. You're the one that released them, that you couldn't get anybody to join the military, and now we're stocked. Every service now is packed, and we have waiting lists of people trying to get in, as good as we've ever had in the history of our country. So that's an honor. That's a great honor. Yeah.
Mr. President, on the war.
On
Yeah,
California?
you've asked. You've had enough. Go ahead. please.
Mr. President, so would you consider to put more sanctions on Russia? Because this discussion is going on now for weeks and months, and you tweeted about it once, but then nothing happens. So
Yeah, when
what would you do?
I see the moment when we're not going to make a deal, when this thing won't stop,
Is there a
if
deadline?
that moment, yeah, it's in my brain, the deadline. When I see the moment where it's not going to stop, and I'm sure you're going to do the same thing, will be very, very, very tough. And it could be on both countries, to be honest. You know, it takes two to tango. But we're going to be very tough. Whether it's Russia or anybody else, we're going to be very tough. That's a bloodbath that's going on over there. And when I see the moment where I say, well, they're going to just keep fighting. You know, I gave the analogy yesterday when I spoke to President Putin. I had a 2-hour and 15-minute call with him. Sometimes, and this is me speaking maybe in a negative sense, but sometimes you see two young children fighting like crazy. They hate each other and they're fighting in a park. And you try and pull them apart. They don't want to be pulled. Sometimes you're better off letting them fight for a while and then pulling them apart. And I gave that analogy to Putin yesterday. I said, President, maybe you're going to have to keep fighting and suffering a lot because both sides are suffering before you pull them apart, before they're able to be pulled apart. But it's a pretty known analogy. You have two kids, they fight. Sometimes you let them fight for a little while. You see it in hockey, you see it in sports. The referees let them go for a couple of seconds, let them go for a little while before you pull them apart. And maybe, and I said it, and maybe that's a negative because we're saying go, but a lot of bad blood. There's some bad blood between the two. I have to deal with it, and the Chancellor has to deal with it. It's incredible. The level of, there's a great hatred between those two men, but between the warring parties. Great hatred.
What made you say and believe apparently that there's no immediate peace?
What?
That there is no immediate peace, there will be no...
Well, I can't. I'd love to have immediate if I could.
But why?
If I could, but we don't have immediate, you know. It's like, I'd love to have that. I'd like it to start. Right now, we would leave a room. If we knew the war could end, we'd say, forget about you guys, forget about trade, right?
Yeah.
We'd say, let's go settle it. There's some additional fighting that's going to go on. You know, he attacked, and they attacked pretty harshly. They went deep into Russia. And he actually told me, I mean, I made it very clear. He said, we have no choice but to attack based on that, and it's probably not going to be pretty. I don't like it. I said, don't do it. You shouldn't do it. You should stop it. But again, there's a lot of hatred. And, you know, I'm very proud of the fact that with India and Pakistan, I was able to stop that. And those are nuclear powers. And that was getting close to being out of hand. And I spoke to some very talented people on both sides, very good people on both sides. And I said, you know, we're dealing with you on trade, Pakistan and India right now. I said, we're not going to deal with you on trade if you're going to go shooting each other and whipping out nuclear weapons that maybe even affect us. Because, you know, that nuclear dust blows across oceans very quickly. It affects us. And I said, if you're going to do that, we're not going to do any trade deals. And you know what? I got that war stopped. Now, I hope we don't go back and we find out that they started, but I don't think they will. They were both good. They were well represented. I want to congratulate both countries because, as you know, the leader of India, who's a great guy, was here a few weeks ago. We had some great talks. We're doing a trade deal. And Pakistan, likewise, they have very strong leadership. Some people won't like when I say that, but, you know, it is what it is. And they stopped that war. Now, am I going to get credit? I'll never get credit for anything. They don't give me credit for anything, but nobody else could have done it. I stopped it. I was very proud of that. I wish we could do the same thing with Ukraine and Russia. And at some point it'll happen. I believe that. And if it doesn't happen, or if I see somebody's out of line, if Russia's out of line, you'll be amazed how tough. Remember this. They like to say that I'm not friends with anybody. I'm friends with you. I'm not friends with that. I want the right thing to happen for our country, for everybody, for humanity. But I'm the one that stopped the pipeline. It's called Nord Stream 2. Until I came along, nobody ever heard, not one person in this room ever heard of Nord Stream 2. You probably did,
Yes,
because
I
it
did.
went to Germany. He's the only one
Knowing
that
that
heard
this
it.
was a mistake.
But
Yeah,
I stopped
right.
it. I stopped it. Yeah, and you've said that openly.
Yeah.
It was a mistake because, and I used to go with Angela. I'd say, well, wait a minute. We're spending all this money to defend you against Russia, and then you're giving Russia billions of dollars a month. What kind of a deal is that? You know, which was, but you said it better than anybody else. I appreciate it. But I'm the one that stopped it. And that was the biggest economic development job, if you want to call it that, in the history, think of it, in the history of Russia. That was a massive, it's the biggest pipeline in the world. Going to go all over Europe, not only to Germany. You know, they were Germany, but then they were branching off all over to Europe. Nobody ever heard of, not one person of you heard of it. And I stopped it. It was dead. And then they say, I'm friends with Putin. I got along with him. He respected me, I respected him. It would have never happened. But I stopped Nord Stream 2. When Biden came in, almost the first week, he approved it. He let it be built. And then they say that I wasn't tough on Russia. Putin said to me, you know, you're not tough on Russia. You stopped the biggest, most important job we've ever done. You stopped it. And Biden came in and he let it be built. And I'll tell you what, I'll never forget the day. I had it totally stopped. They weren't building. They gave up on it. They weren't able to. And then Biden came in and he let him build. I couldn't believe it. Okay, one or two questions more, please. Any questions? Any question for the Chancellor?
Continue.
Go ahead, for the Chancellor.
That would be one.
I like his answers much better.
Well, first, would you continue to support Ukraine?
Yeah, I'm with Ukraine. We just signed a big deal on rare earth with Ukraine. And I want to, you know what, I'm for stopping killing, really. That's what I'm for. Again, a war that would have never started, should have never started. I want to see the killing stop. We spent $350 billion, much more than Europe, but Europe spent a lot also. And they spent way over $100 billion.
Yeah.
So you're talking about close to $500 billion went into that whole thing. And it's not even the money, and I know with you too, it's a lot of money, but it's the death that's being caused. We went to the Middle East. I went last week to the Middle East. We took in $5.1 trillion. That's many, many times. That's 30, 40 times, 50 times more than what we're talking about. It's think of that, $5.1 trillion of investment with one trip that lasted 4 days. So it's not the money. It's a little the money, but not the money, the big thing. The big thing is the death. The death of, and really the decimation. You've lost a whole culture. You know, Ukraine had the most beautiful turrets. They call them turrets, the little towers, beautiful towers, the most beautiful in the world. They're all now laying on their side, blown to smithereens. It'll never happen again. They've taken away the culture of a country. They've taken away the heritage of a country. It's a terrible thing. But most importantly, again, is the death. 5,000 plus people a week, soldiers, are being killed. He doesn't want that, and I don't want that. And one more. Yeah, please.
Thank you. Mr. President, do you support the Graham bill on putting high tariffs on
I
China?
haven't looked at it, but they'll be guided by me. That's the way it's supposed to be. They're going to be guided by me. No, I haven't looked at it. It's a bill on sanctions, etc. I'm a very quick study. At the right time, I'll do what I want to do. But it could very well be okay. I'll have to see. But they're waiting for me to decide on what to do, and I'll know maybe very soon. It's a harsh bill. Yeah, very harsh.
We'll take one more auto pen.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I would like to have a question to the Chancellor as well, because do you agree with the analogy the President made on the war between Russia and Ukraine as being a fight between two kids? Is that how you view that as well? And what do you actually want the US President to do in this?
Well, I think we both agree on this war and how terrible this war is going on. And we are both looking for ways to stop it very soon. And I told the President before we came in that he is the key person in the world who can really do that. now by putting pressure on Russia. And we will have this debate later on again, how we can proceed jointly between the Europeans and the Americans. And I think we are having the duty to do something on that now, to stop it after 3.5 years, which is really terrible. Look at the kids, the kids which were kidnapped from Ukraine to Russia. This is all terrible. And so we are talking about instruments, measures, what we can do. And my personal view is clear on that. We are on the side of Ukraine, and we are trying to get them stronger and stronger just to make Putin stop this war. And this is our approach.
We get satellite pictures of the war field,
Yeah.
and you don't even like to look at them, right?
It's terrible.
So
It's really
bodies, arms, heads, legs all over the place. You've never seen anything like it. It's so ridiculous.
And this is
For what?
only by Russian weapons against Ukraine. This had
Yeah.
never happened with Ukraine weapons against Russia. Never. Ukraine is only targeting military targets, not civilians, not private, not energy infrastructure. So this is the difference, and that's the reason why we are trying to do more on Russia, how to stop this war.
Well, in this case, I'm talking about the battlefield, the soldiers on soldiers. But you could also say that, too, with the cities.
Yep.
The cities are
Yep.
being hit also. So it's a terrible, terrible thing. Somebody said autopen. Did I hear the word autopen?
I was just curious.
Because I think it's the biggest scandal maybe in the last 100 years in this country. So when I hear that word, I think it has to be discussed, because the fake news will try and hide it, and we can't do that.
Well, that's
But go
what I'm
ahead.
asking. Have you uncovered any evidence that anything specific was signed without President Biden's knowledge or by other people in the administration acting illegally?
Well, I don't think Biden would know whether or not he signed it. I
I'm
don't
asking
think
if
so.
you've uncovered any of that information.
No, but I've uncovered, the human mind. I was in a debate with the human mind, and I didn't think he knew what the hell he was doing. So, it's just one of those things, one of those problems. We can't ever allow that to happen to our country. The danger our country was in, and I know some of the people that worked with him, radical left, horrible people. And I could give you the name of some of the people that used the autopen, because I'm here, and I ask questions about people that were here also. There are a lot of people that were here when that happened, and they're here right now, and they'll answer your question very accurately. But I know some of the people that use that autopen, and those are not the people that had the same ideology as Joe Biden. These were radical left lunatics that used that, and they didn't get elected. He didn't get elected either, actually. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, guys, there you have it. President Trump joined with the German chancellor, speaking in the Oval Office, taking a number of questions. The president stated that, the economy has improved under his leadership. He also said that great spirit is back in America. With regard to the war in Ukraine, he said that would not have happened had he been president when that occurred. He then touched on Elon Musk as well. As we all know, Elon Musk has been somewhat vocal with regard to the new big, beautiful bill, stating that, it's not a good thing. President Trump saying that Mr. Musk got upset because he realized it would cut funding that in essence would affect Tesla. He added he too is upset with Elon Musk. Speaking of that big, beautiful bill, a number of Democrats crying foul on Capitol Hill. Senator Chuck Schumer spoke about it
thank
earlier.
you all for coming, and to my great colleagues, great Judiciary Committee members, Durbin and White House and Hirono. So, we all know that Donald Trump sees himself as a king more than a president. Trump is not a king. The Republican so-called big, beautiful bill will effectively place a crown on Donald Trump's head. Buried deep in the Republican bill is a really nasty provision that would strip federal judges of one of their most critical powers, the ability to force their own rulings. In other words, Republicans want to codify into law Donald Trump's attacks on our judicial system. They want to gut our federal courts until they're utterly powerless. They want to buck the Constitution and bulldoze the rule of law. This is dangerous, it's reckless, it's un-American. And it isn't just a policy difference. This is an assault. an assault on the rule of law, an assault on the independence of the judiciary, and on the very checks and balances that have defined this country since its inception. So today, I'm announcing that Democrats will fight with every tool we have to stop this provision from becoming law, this evil, un-American provision that flies in the face of the Constitution completely. This provision, as I said, is one of the most direct assaults on the separation of powers in recent memory. It essentially hands the government officials, including Donald Trump, the license to ignore any ruling from a federal judge that they don't like. And it strips the courts of any power to hold people accountable if they violate court orders, including the Supreme Court. Shame on the House of Representatives putting this in, on the Republicans in the House of Representatives. Shame. This is so bad, it's beyond the pale. So, as we all know, one of the most essential things that the judiciary has, its ability to enforce its own orders. That's the authority we've given the judiciary. And this proposal would effectively render judicial rulings meaningless. Just words on paper with no power to hold anyone accountable. Let's call it for what it is. It's the get out of jail free card for Donald Trump. This is the get out of jail free card for Donald Trump. Now, let's see here. This is also a death sentence for judicial independence in America. It's not democracy, it's authoritarianism. It's a move ripped right straight from a playbook of a dictator. And we all know Donald Trump is a would-be dictator. So you have to ask yourself, why now? Why is he doing it now? Well, Donald Trump's losing in court over and over and over again. Our analysis showed that just in the last month, the Trump administration lost a whopping 97% of rulings in federal district courts. And this came from judges across the political spectrum. Many of them were Trump appointees or Bush appointees, including judges that Donald Trump appointed have ruled against him. It drives him crazy that the judges he appointed are actually following the law instead of following his whim, his wish, his desire to be a dictator. So, rather than respect these rulings, as any president before would have done, Trump and his allies want to rewrite the rules to make himself untouchable. And so, congressional Republicans, sadly, in a great tragic day for democracy, are trying to bend their knees and bend the Constitution and bail Donald Trump out by letting him ignore the courts and all these court rulings that have been against him. And listen to this one. One House Republican even admitted at a town hall meeting in his district that he didn't know this provision was in the bill when he voted for it. What about all the other Republicans who voted for it? Republicans in Congress have been happy to roll over and hand the keys of the House and Senate to Donald Trump and unelected billionaires like Elon Musk. And they're allowing them to run this country into the ground. They're allowing the whole sinew, the whole fabric of what America is all about to be ripped apart and upended in a way we have never, ever seen before. The Republicans in the House were so eager to rubber stamp Donald Trump's monstrosity of a bill that they didn't even read all of it. Or worse, some of them read it and then didn't care, because protecting Trump matters more to them than protecting our democracy, than protecting the rule of law, than protecting the Constitution. Because whether it's Trump or Musk or any other corrupt official, Republicans are trying to create a world in which powerful people face no consequences, no matter what they do. That's not democracy. That's oligarchy. No one, not Donald Trump, not Elon Musk, not any crooked politician or billionaire, is above the law. And if Republicans think they can pull a fast one on the American people by slipping this provision into their bill, they've got another thing coming. So we Democrats are here to sound the alarm. We're united. We'll fight like hell using every tool in our toolbox to stop this provision from becoming law. Next is Senator Durbin. Let me just take all my papers here. Richard. Yeah, I got it. Yep, I'll leave it.
Thanks, Chuck Schumer. I want to say a kind word about my colleagues from the Senate Judiciary Committee, Sheldon Whitehouse and Mazie Hirano. Something interesting has happened in that committee in recent times. I've been on the committee long enough to have considered literally hundreds, if not thousands, of nominees, and I kind of know the line of questioning that'll be asked of each of the nominee candidates. That's changed. It changed this year. The questions that are being asked are more fundamental to the Constitution. Basic questions like, do you believe the executive is bound by court orders? I wouldn't have thought to ask that in previous years, but I had to ask it this year because the question is whether or not, given a court order, Donald Trump or his administration will feel bound to follow it as a rule of law. The questions are asked and the answers are all over the park. The uncertainty of these nominees as to what the president would do when pushed to the limit, where the court is saying to him, you have to stop doing this, or you have to start doing this, or you'll be found in contempt.
All right, there you have it, guys. Yet again, top Democrats speaking with regard to the big, beautiful bill, crying foul in essence, stating that, well, it's no good. As Senator Chuck Schumer pointed out, he stated that the big, beautiful bill is in essence Republicans trying to pull a fast one, stating that Democrats will fight like hell to make sure it doesn't happen. And as they also stated, well, they claim that it will add trillions of dollars to the U.S. deficit. We'll take our first break. On the flip side of that break, producer Chris joins us with the sizzling topics coming up next, right here on the Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Producer Chris joining us right here on the LZ with an early edition of What to Watch.
What to Watch. Listen, it's a new month, which means a lot of new streaming content. Some people might want to get a jump start on it because a lot of the shows that we usually talk about on Fridays actually come out on Wednesdays.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Thursdays.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, every every streaming network has kind of its own particular day that they like to drop things depending on what it is. You know, I love to start local when I can, and this first one is actually a movie, but it's got some hometown ties because it stars DC native and Howard alum Taraji P. Henson. This is another Tyler Perry production, and it is called Straw. Now, the straw in this refers to the final straw, the straw that broke the camel's back. This is an action thriller, and it follows a single mother and the devastatingly bad day that she has that pushes her final straw into a shocking act of desperation, is what the trailer says. It also stars Tiana Taylor, Sherry Shepherd, Sinbad in his first role in 5 years since he suffered that stroke, and more. You can check this one out tomorrow on Netflix. Now, I will say, this movie, like so many of Tyler Perry's, did get a little bit of backlash. It got a little bit of backlash when the trailer first came out, in part because people accused him of basically perpetuating these same tired, broken women stereotypes.
I remember that.
Now, he also occasionally gets some flack for the production value of his movies. He tends to write, direct, and shoot them all himself, and sometimes in a very short amount of time. Now, Taraji P. Henson has talked about this particular movie. Guess how long it took her to shoot her scenes for it. She is the lead, keep in mind. This is not a cameo. She is the star of the movie.
I don't know what it is, but because you said it that way, I bet you it's probably the fastest she has ever shot.
4 days.
Wow.
She shot it in 4 days, and she shot it while she was shooting something else. Do you remember the show Fight Night?
Yeah.
That was on Peacock. She shot this movie while on a break from that series.
Unbelievable.
4 days. So you can judge it for yourself. You can tune in on Netflix tomorrow.
Hey, last time I checked, isn't Tyler Perry a billionaire?
Yes, he is.
And
so he's laughing all the way to the bank.
It kind of makes sense. You write your own stuff, direct it. It seems to be working for him.
He's got his own studio.
All right.
I mean, he cut out the middleman. He does it all himself. And he signed a huge deal with Netflix. All of his recent work has been on there. And all of it does really, really well. Let's go from movies to TV now. We're going to go from DC to New York because we have a new reality show. And this is how old we are now. This reality show is following the children of other reality stars.
Oh my gosh.
It's called Next Gen NYC. Tight-knit group of friends, but they're trying to make it on their own. They're trying to make a name for themselves, even though some of them have some very famous last names, including one of the spawn of the Judices. You know them from Real Housewives of New York. There's some other Real Housewives spawns on there as well. Episode 1 streaming now on Peacock. The rest drop week to week. Okay.
Now,
so,
but
like
here's the
I
thing.
said,
they look like they're mid-20s, early 30s. So.
yeah, they are. They are. That's how long now we
gosh.
have been consumers of just reality TV. I know.
Boy, do I feel old. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Trust me. And they're so Gen Z. Nepo babies. Not running from the accusations, though, here. Let's put it that way. They might want to make a name for themselves, but this isn't Malia Ann.
Yeah, gotcha.
Obama. We know who you are. All right, now we've gone from D.C. to New York, and now we're going to go up to New England. But we're going to do it by way of Georgia because we're talking about the latest season of Ginny in Georgia. If you're not familiar with this show, it's how to describe it. It's a small-town drama, a high school dramedy, a romance, and a murder mystery all in one. Now, Georgia, if you have watched previous seasons, she may have committed a few crimes in her past, and now it's catching up to her because Season 3 picks up right where Season 2 left off, with Georgia in handcuffs getting hauled off to jail during her wedding ceremony.
Wow.
You hate to see that. All 10 episodes out now on Netflix.
Well,
this is one of those shows, that critics, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but like TV critics say, Netflix has perfected the algorithm with this one. It is a little bit of everything, so it really appeals to a lot of people, and it does very, very well for the streaming giant.
Okay, I'll take a look at it.
We've got another TV show, and this is, for me, more proof that those studio executives, though, they have access to our phones. You know what I mean? That's where a lot of people watch these things, and I'm even more convinced than ever. They know what I'm doing at all times because we have a show that's about my latest hobby, golf.
Oh,
This
wow.
is called Stick. It's on Apple TV Plus, and it stars Owen Wilson. You know him from so many different things back in the day. With
Wedding Crashers.
Yeah,
that's my fave.
Classic. Also set right here in D.C. and directed by a guy right here in Bethesda.
Nice.
Which is why it gets some mentions in that movie. Now, I will also say, this show, I think, based on the trailer, is going for that Ted Lasso sports comedy magic, but heartfelt sports comedy. Owen Wilson plays like a washed up former pro golfer who kind of crashed and burned spectacularly. And now he's kind of getting that second shot at redemption, but he's doing it by mentoring an up and coming young amateur.
Oh, okay.
So the first 3 episodes, I believe, of this are streaming now on Apple TV Plus, and the rest drop week to week after that.
I'll check that
So
out.
like I said, I have just started getting into golf. I have just started hitting the driving range. I'm not good.
Yeah.
I've got a long way to go. But of course, now anything golf, my Instagram feed, it knows what I like. Every single thing is like, here's tips to hit it further and straighter. So of course I'm going to tune into this one and see how it goes. All right.
Real quick, Chris, I've been playing for 15 years now. I still stink, so you're probably better than me.
This makes me feel so much better. But people did warn me that it is a lifelong obsession with almost like abuse because you go out there and you have a good day and you're like,
it's the
I've
best
got
feeling.
I've got it, and then you go back out there the next time.
Yeah. And I cried as a grown man.
Exactly.
I will admit it.
Either way, I'm going to have a drink, either to celebrate or to drown my sorrows. If you're looking for something else sports related, or you're just missing the chemistry and, the inside the NBA, one of the greatest shows on TV.
Yeah, I love it.
Shaq. Streaming on Netflix. He's got a new sports docu-series. It is called Power Moves with Shaq. That's streaming now as well. This is all about kind of his creation of a brand deal with Reebok.
Oh, really? Okay. Golly, he he owns the world and is obviously the ambassador and or endorser, if that's the word, to any and every brand.
I will never diminish his accomplishments on the court, but it's almost like he's more famous since he left the NBA, and he's so good and just so personable and just everywhere, ubiquitous, kind of like Snoop Dogg. You kind of forget that he even played for years.
Yeah. And what's really interesting is he has stated publicly that his kids have to work hard. He's like, hey, I'm not giving it to you. You got to earn your own money.
That's right. We love him.
Yeah, we do. All right, we love you as well. Producer Chris joining us with What to Watch right here on the Live Zone. Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll take a quick break and be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Staying in the realm of watch to watch. Did you hear what's coming out in movie theaters tomorrow? It's dubbed I Don't Understand You. It's a horror/comedy all mixed together, and it's cool. Our own Kevin McCarthy got a chance to sit down with some of the cast. Take a look.
Call! Italy's calling! Okay, here's your itinerary. It should be perfect. Axel, no parties! We haven't matched with her yet, so don't get too invested.
Hi!
It's so great to meet you. Can we see your belly?
Yep.
Wow.
I love the moment where obviously the blood drips down and you realize that somebody has put raw meat in the and I was wondering, do each of you have a crazy story about something you've seen on an airplane that kind of took you by surprise like that?
No blood, but I did once in flying to Austin. I was sitting next to a woman who had a cat, and the cat was wearing sunglasses. And I knew that she wanted me to talk to her about it, and I refused. I was like, I'm not giving in. I'm not going to take the bait on this one. I did sneak a picture of it, but I was like, I'm not, because people do things like that to,
They're like, oh, I'm sorry. Do you have a problem with me flying with my cat with sunglasses on?
Captain Crackers has glaucoma. He needs these glasses. Did you any blood on an airplane?
No, but I remember being on an airplane with Cat Williams, who was also wearing sunglasses and didn't want me to say anything to him, so I didn't say anything to him.
That's nice.
So I guess that's the closest thing. I did. My pants and jackets were filled with raw meat and dripping blood. So that I guess is what I guess that is relevant.
Possible.
Yeah.
I love the moment when you're also driving the beginning, the Stone Pony songs comes on, different drum, and Andrew, you're like, oh my god, I love this song, and you start singing it. Nick, your character doesn't seem to know the lyrics to it. He's just sitting around. But when you're driving along, what's the song that comes on in the car that you have to stop and sing?
Stop the car dead in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
I've been on a real Springsteen kick.
Okay.
And, so I've been
Who's
been
that?
listening. Is it Bruce?
Bruce Springsteen?
Springsteen.
And he's a musician?
I think I'm saying that right.
I think so.
So my boyfriend was driving. We were like, he was following me in a car, and he was like, who are you yelling at? And I was like, I wasn't yelling, I was singing Born to Run.
Yeah, and what's weird is his boyfriend is Billy Joel.
Yeah.
And there's just always going to be that competition.
I know,
with
and he was
Billy
like, I
and
can't
Bruce.
believe you were listening to Bruce.
Yeah.
Andrew, what's funny is I went to a Bruce Springsteen concert once, and I didn't know that when people yell Bruce, I thought they were. I thought they were.
Yes, I had the same experience.
I really think people who have that ooh sound in their name really benefit from sporting and like general group people being places like anyone who's has that name in sports gets people cheer their name a lot more.
Oh.
How cool is that? There you have it. Yet again, I Don't Understand You in theaters tomorrow. Our own Kevin McCarthy sitting down with some of the cast. He posed the question, what is song you happen to hear in the car that just makes you absolutely lose it? For me, it's probably 24 Karat Gold Bruno Mars. I just have to start doing the little dance. I don't know. I just absolutely love it. Hey, let's talk about beef, shall we? In this case, we're talking about pizza beef. No, not the pepperoni on the pizza, but who has the best pizza? Is it New York or is it Connecticut? Yeah, believe it, Connecticut. The two are combating one another. Well, earlier, our very own Steve Shinavy got a chance to speak with a reporter out of New York who got a chance to talk with a lot of New Yorkers. Take a look.
While Maryland and Delaware continue to battle it out over the supremacy rights to the Orange Crush cocktail, and here, of course, we're Team Maryland. In another part of the country, there is a huge debate over a pizza, and we are talking about New York or someone else claiming rights to pizza capital of America. Let's get to Fox's Caroline Elliott live from New York on quite the competition.
Well, Steve, you've got the world-famous thin crust pizza right here in New York, but apparently to get the very best pizza, you're going to have to cross those state lines, or at least that's what we're seeing now in a new ad campaign from Connecticut. The state's marketing and tourism team is trolling New York City right now with billboards popping up saying Connecticut has the nation's best pizza, not you, New York. And we found the fight does not stop here. The ad campaign is also targeting debating other pizza hotspots, calling out Detroit, saying music, cars, and Motown, that's all you, the nation's best pizza, that's us. Then in New Jersey as well, with the nation's best pizza, not you, Jersey. And Chicago was not safe either. The ad says deep dish is good, but definitely not pizza.
We are putting a flag in the ground, telling everybody, hey, don't sleep on Connecticut. In fact, we have the nation's best pizza, not necessarily you. It's playful, it's in jest. I know some people are taking it personally. They shouldn't. It's a food fight.
So we decided to do a little bit of our own research and ask pizza lovers ourselves here in the Big Apple, who has the best pizza? Well, we found some New Yorkers debating who has the best.
I'm from New York. I want to be loyal, but at the end of the day, it's all about New Haven pizza. Like, Detroit pizza's great, Chicago pizza's great, but the battle really is New York, Connecticut, and I feel like New Haven's got the good stuff.
That does sound a little bit crazy because me personally, I've never heard much about Connecticut pizza. You know, it's always it's all talk about New York. I don't know. They think they're up here, but they're probably down here.
And New York's tourism team told us that New Yorkers know our pizza is supreme, but Connecticut can keep trying. We'll send it back to you.
Caroline, I love it. I love a good food fight. Thank you so very much. Caroline Elliott joining us from New York. Yeah, Connecticut's got Mystic. They've got the good clam pizza. But, man, you want to pick a fight with New Yorkers, that's a great way to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Steve. I got to tell you, I lived in New Haven for quite some time. They do have some of the best pizza. Locally, though, I think I'm going to go with Lido's. It's all about the sauce. I absolutely love it. All right, guys, we'll take another break. This is the Fox 5 Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Well, as D.C. gears up for an upcoming military parade, city officials are raising concerns about potential street damage from heavy military vehicles. That parade set to commemorate the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary. It will feature over, get this, 6,000 soldiers, 150 armored vehicles, and 50 helicopters. Among the military equipment are Abrams tanks, some weighing over 136,000 pounds. To minimize damage, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers now fitting vehicles with rubber track pads and laying 1-inch thick steel plates at pivot points along the route. Crews were seen installing these plates on Independence Avenue earlier today.
Really, truly the best engineers in the world have been solving challenges like this for 250 years for our nation. So this is just another example of how we can bring our engineers to bear, work with all the partners, National Park Service, Federal Highway Administration, to come up with the best solution possible to protect this route from a celebration, from a parade that we're going to do here on the 14th.
Yeah, I got to tell you, it's really exciting. Mayor Muriel Bowser said she remains concerned about the potential damage and uneasy about the potential cost of repairs. By the way, if you haven't heard, you can watch the parade in its entirety right here using the Fox Local app. Well, speaking of the mayor, earlier today, Mayor Bowser participated in a fireside chat dubbed the DC State of the Market event. Let's go ahead and take a listen in with regard to what the mayor had to say.
People didn't realize that they were one of the most successful venues in both leagues in terms of how many people came there, how much money they spent there. When I say most successful, one day it will translate into the most winning teams as well. But they did very well there. People like it there. And the number of concerts and from every genre imaginable. And even after the pandemic, the number of shows that come to the Cat One Arena, they just exploded. So that business, Monumental Sports, is a very important business for the district. And sports itself is kind of a winning combination for us. Nats Park has overperformed, where we will pay off the bonds that were used to construct that $600 million public stadium early. Entertainment, we kind of put sports and entertainment together, and we look at what the Wharf is doing for the district is hugely important. DC United Stadium, Audi Field, the practice field at Congress Heights have all been investments that we have made in sports that have paid off for the residents of the district. So when we make, there's a lot made of the upfront investments, and 10, 15, 20 years down the road, we can see how they really pay off. All of the benefits from our economic development projects support all 8 wards of the district. And so when we're able to turn unproductive land into jobs, into restaurants, into residential units where DC residents live and pay taxes, that helps us support the whole city.
And we've definitely seen the vibrancy of those neighborhoods around Nats Park and the Wharf, so we know that what can happen at RFK.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So there's been a lot of federal job cuts. We're expecting that there's going to be some vacant buildings and space in the district. Do you foresee any...
All right. Yet again, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser speaking earlier during a fireside chat for the State of the Market right here in D.C. Well, as many of you know, a federal court has ruled it was illegal to send U.S. immigrants to a prison in San Salvador earlier this year, and using the Alien Enemies Act to do so. Now, those immigrants are still in prison after being sent there without due process. To discuss this latest ruling and what it will mean for those prisoners and other immigrants going forward, we now welcome longtime immigration attorney and founder of the immigration law firm USA for All, Renata Castro, back here on the Live Zone. Ms. Castro, always good to see you. Welcome back to the show.
Great to be here.
All right, let's jump into this. In a nutshell, what does this ruling mean?
This ruling means that a United States court has determined that the United States government, and the reason why I say government is because the federal government has the exclusive right to deport individuals did not allow them the opportunity to have due process. And for those that don't understand due process is the concept that everyone is innocent until proven guilty, but in this case applied to an immigration case. An individual can be deported as long as they have the opportunity and a fair access to trial, which in this case did not happen. And in my legal analysis, the judge is correct in saying that the United States government now has to allow these individuals to pursue a habeas, which is the opportunity to respond to their case in freedom as they fight the accusations made by the United States government.
I got to tell you, Renata, this is just a lot of back and forth. We have seen this top of mind for so many Americans and, well, actually played out in the court system for quite some time now. This latest ruling, does it change anything?
I believe that this really positions the United States judiciary as impartial. It's important that the public understand that this is not a war on a political proposition. This is actually a preservation of what the United States separation of powers, which is what makes us a democracy, really is. No one is or should be above the law, and everyone should have access to the protections afforded by the law, meaning you have a right to fair trial, and you, even if you are an undocumented alien in the United States, you should be availed of those protections, because at the end of the day, if you can be guilty of a crime, you should be afforded the opportunity to defend yourself of that accusation.
We have seen this played out in movies, and that is when a judge makes a ruling, perhaps the language he or she uses. In this case, we know the language happened to be blunt while issuing the ruling. What say you about that?
I think that the courts are trying to, well, I shouldn't say trying. The courts are doing a great job of not making this a political positioning, because then you show bias, and that's not the role of a judge. Judges are here to interpret the law as the legislative arm of the government meant it to be. So they look at the plain letter of the law, they look at jurisprudence, so previous cases that were decided, and also they look at congressional notes. What did the House and the Senate mean or intend when they passed these laws, which should represent the will of the people? So these judges are really giving the Trump administration, and I should say, any other government that tries to exceed itself beyond their authority, that, wait a minute, you have a power, but it's not unlimited power, and the courts are here to protect the interests of the people in the United States.
All right, I've said this time and time again on this show, and that is, wouldn't it be nice if we all had a crystal ball? Well, we don't. And so with that, I will just have to ask your opinion, and that is, what do you think is going to happen next, legally?
Listen, I don't even think that a John Grisham novel would have had so many twists and turns when it comes to immigration law. It really is the subject du jour, because the federal government is expanding its reach and testing the waters in which will be resulting in violation of due process, not only for immigrants, but for U.S. citizens alike. I think that the American courts, and I believe that the American courts will continue to make decisions, sometimes favorable to immigrants, sometimes not, as the Supreme Court made a decision a couple of days ago, saying that the federal government had the right to eliminate TPS, which it does, and overall, preserving the letter of the law, preserving rights, and I think it will be a nail biter. We will have a lot of cases in front of the Supreme Court that are related to immigration law during the time Trump spends in this administration.
You made mention of a novel. In this case, I'm going to make mention of a song, and that is Boyz II Men, End of the Road. I'm saying all that to say, will we get to the end of the road? Where does all this end?
Well, I hope that there's no end of the road. I hope the road just gets wider and happier. I believe as a lawyer that it is essential that lawyers and journalists, people who fight for a position, continue to have the ability to do what's right. And sometimes what's right's not what we agree on, but the United States certainly should see at the end of the road the city on the hill where individual liberties are preserved without being a detriment, where freedom of speech and thought and democracy are celebrated at the end of it all.
Well said. Yet again, we have been speaking with immigration attorney and founder of immigration law firm USA for All, Renata Castro, right here on the Live Zone. Always good to see you. Thank you so much for your time.
Great to see you.
All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. This is the Fox 5 Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. So I got to tell you, I have been waiting to conduct this interview for quite some time. You see, when it comes to delivering a 1-2 punch, well, I got to tell you, he's one of the best to ever do it. Why? Because, well, he's done that time and time again inside the boxing ring. I'm talking about none other than WBA super featherweight champion Lamont Roach. Now, why am I bringing up his name? Well, I'm bringing it up because he is giving back in a major way. You see, he is taking his talents to none other than the Woodbridge Library, making the kickoff of Books in Boxing. Now, this is a big deal. Why? Because it happens to be a new summer program for DC Public Library. The clinic is open to registered participants from ages 8 to 15 and serves as the first in a 14-week series combating physical training and literacy engagement. Guess what? He's coming up next in 2 minutes to join us right here on the Live Zone. Don't let me tell it. He'll do just that.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me out there? I've seen it there. I just don't see you on camera yet. There it is. Awesome. Can you hear me out there? Oh, had a little lag on your end, it looks like. There we go.
So there's like a echo. I don't know if you hear it. There's like an echo and like a slight.
All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Hey, you know that LL Cool J song, Mama Said Knock You Out? Well, I got to tell you, this dude will get knocked out by you time and time again. Because why? In the dreams, that's what we all dream of. However, he's doing the knocking out. Yes, I'm talking about none other than WBA Super Featherweight Champion Lamont Roach Jr., now joining us right here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Good to see you, my man.
Man, it's good to see you, man. Thanks for having me.
I got to tell you, you are a DC superhero. I mean, just hands down, man. I can't tell you how many kids, not only kids, but adults, look up to you, my man, with regard to what you've been able to do to putting DC on the map.
Man, I've been trying, man. I just want to set an example for the kids that look like me and the kids that come from where I come from.
Yeah, and you're doing it in a major way. I love what you're doing by giving back. And in this case, it's dubbed none other than Books in Boxing. It's a new summer program at the D.C. Public Library. You know how LeBron said he's taking his talents to South Beach? My man, you're taking your talents to the library.
For sure, man.
So tell me all about it with regard to the kids that are going to get a chance to sit down and chit-chat with you. But not only that, I would assume you're going to teach them the good old 1-2.
Yeah, I'll be trying to teach them a little bit of the basics, especially those who are interested. You know, boxing is a very unique sport. Everyone knows that boxing isn't going to be for everyone in the long run, but coming up in the sport of boxing, you learn the art of discipline. You learn camaraderie within the gym. You learn life lessons, man. I just want to spread that around to the kids.
Yeah, I love how you say that because, look, Lamont, let's just be real. I mean, you're the champion as far as I'm concerned. Are now and will always be in my mind. And with that being said,
I appreciate that.
you don't have to really give back. I mean, you can fly around with your super cape on and just do what you do. But in this case, you're deciding to give back and you're focusing on literacy as well. I love that. Why is it so important that you mix the two?
It's very important that you mix the two so that you be very aware of what's going on. You don't just want to be an athlete per se. Let's say my case. You just don't want to be an athlete who's just good at what they do but doesn't know what's going on around them. So I preach that. I preach that the kids get the toolage and the knowledge that they need to operate everywhere, all around the board, so they are fully aware of what's going on, what they're receiving, what they're dishing out, and what they're really capable of doing.
Yeah. You heard me make mention of this earlier, and that's when I began the interview, how you happen to be a mentor to so many kids now. And by the way, me too, us grown men. And so with that being said, I'm curious, who was your mentor? Anyone in particular really stand out in your life that helped you get to where you're at now?
My father is my mentor for sure, whether he knows it or not. He set a great example for me for as long as I can remember since I was born. So, he set a great example for me. Very stand-up guy, very smart man, a man of integrity, a man that has morals, and a guy that handles his business.
Yeah. Well, yet again, you're handling your business as well. It's dubbed Books and Boxing. It runs through September the 6th at the Woodbridge and Francis A. Gregory Library, offering participants weekly sessions through integrating boxing and instruction with reading. That is just so cool. You're changing the game, my man. All participants, by the way, will receive boxing equipment to keep along with library books selected. Before I let you go, anything we need to know about? Any upcoming fights? Anything you want to touch on? Anybody you plan on knocking out in the near future?
Since the word has been floating around, the rematch is happening for sure. Just keep an eye out for August. There's a date floating around that might very well be that date. I can assure you guys that it's coming this summer for sure.
My man, you just made my day saying that, man. And I'm telling you, I beg to differ with regard to what took place. So let me just say you're the champ.
Thank you.
I'll leave it at that. Ladies and gentlemen, he needs no introduction. Yet again, WBA super featherweight champion Lamont Roach Jr. joining us right here on the Live Zone. We'll see you in the ring, my man, and also back here in D.C. at the library.
For sure, man. I'll see you guys later.
No doubt. How cool is that? All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. This is the Fox 5 Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Now the latest in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. Brianna, a longtime friend of Cassie, back on the stand for cross-examination by the defense. Yesterday, she testified about an incident with Diddy back in 2016 when she said he held her over a 7-story balcony. She also testified that Diddy once told her that, quote, he's the devil and that he would kill her. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is Mackenzie Joy Brennan. Yes, trial attorney, federal litigator attorney, and, well, I just say legal attorney extraordinaire, back here on the Live Zone. Mackenzie, always good to see you. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, Guy. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so yet again, a lot to digest here. I've been on the show now for about an hour and a half, so I'm not sure what's happened the last hour and a half, but I can tell you what happened earlier today, and that is, yet again, you heard me make mention of Brianna testifying that, well, that balcony incident is really like mob behavior, if you will, and I would expect the prosecution to use just that in order to move their case a bit further. What say you?
Absolutely. You know, Brianna Bongalin, she goes by Bana. She's a designer, and she's a really tiny woman, which is relevant to this story that, you know, she's 5'1", relatively easy to dangle over a balcony. She actually had to be subpoenaed to be here. There are a couple witnesses, a lot of them victims, who have had to be subpoenaed to appear in the trial, which kind of makes sense once you see how the cross-examinations have been going. I think the defense made a better choice in who they had cross-examined Bana than they did with Mia. So the cross-examination today was carried on by Nicole Westmoreland, and she's a Black woman. She's been through sexual assault, and she kind of embodies what we would call the perfect victim, which obviously is a myth in sexual assault cases, but it's the idea of somebody who does everything right. They report the crime, they bring charges. Westmoreland wasn't intimidated out of bringing the case against her abuser, and she won. So to juxtapose her with somebody who didn't report these crimes right away, who had to be subpoenaed to be here, I think the defense is kind of trying to draw a comparison there.
Yeah, Mackenzie, but we also, so not to cut you off, but we also saw earlier today that the judge made a statement in asking the prosecution, why do we need to know with regard to what took place about that alleged balcony incident? I'm curious, why would the judge pose that question to the prosecution?
No, I think that this is really re-traumatizing for a lot of the victims, and when it's a little bit attenuated, the connection between what the incident itself is and the sex trafficking charges or the criminal enterprise in racketeering, I imagine that the judge is doing kind of a cost benefit of, we're going to see this woman eviscerated again. She was subpoenaed to be here. She didn't want to be here. And doesn't really add that much to the case, because the judge also ruled today that the next victim, who will likely be testifying either this afternoon or tomorrow, won't be broadcast on the evidence monitors like Mia was, because it ended up revealing Mia's identity in the defense's cross. So that's what I imagine the judge is going for. And then, of course, always there's the concern of keeping the trial short, but that's not as exciting to consider.
Yeah, well, speaking of keeping the trial short, we heard earlier, I guess it was, last week, where the prosecution said, hey, everybody, we're kind of going to wrap up perhaps a week earlier than what we thought we were going to wrap up. Yet again, I will pose this question, and you're the second attorney that I'm asking this. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing, and I imagine it's a little bit measured by the prosecution, because the defense has implied in a couple different ways that they're not quite ready. They weren't ready when the trial started. They keep saying that they have not had enough time to meet with their client, that he's not able to speak with them at certain points when they want to speak with him. So I think it's definitely in the prosecution's benefit to keep this moving as quickly as possible and do everything to ensure that the defense is kind of on their toes and not quite prepared.
So, Mackenzie, the big question is, what's the big takeaway thus far? Obviously, Diddy faces life behind bars. With regard to everything that we've been made privy to, that we have now seen, do you think it's going to be sentenced to just that?
Boy, it's really tough to say what the actual sentencing bracket would be in terms of time, but I think the prosecution's case in terms of a guilty verdict is looking pretty good. You know, I'm biased because I do represent people who have been through similar things, so it's really easy for me to see how these victim stories fit into the pattern. But I do think that they're hitting a lot of these bars of criminal enterprise. Even Bana's testimony hit a lot of drug dealing questions. Yesterday, we heard from the man who was paid off for giving the security video over to Diddy's team. And that was so many elements of his company involved in what was an illegal act. So I think to disbelieve the story, you have to disbelieve 4 or 5 different witnesses at this point, and that gets to be a really tall order.
Yeah. Mackenzie, the last time we spoke with you, you were outside of the courthouse. We know that since then, a woman had to actually be removed from the courtroom when she had an outburst. I will pose the question to you is, have you ever seen something like that? And typically when that happens, I don't know if the word is the mojo, but does it mess up what is currently taking place in that courtroom with regard to whatever side is presenting?
You know, ironically, I actually encountered that woman. A lot of us who have been outside the courthouse have seen her milling around. She is now persona non grata in the courthouse itself. She has been asked to not return. I think it probably does affect the atmosphere, but not necessarily the verdict. If memory serves, she was in and out, and what she was saying didn't have a whole lot of substantive bearing on the case. It was in support of Diddy, but it was essentially like they're trying to get you, which, with all due respect, I think we all know that, it's a federal case against him. So in that sense, it wasn't necessarily new information, but it was certainly rattling, and it does show you, what I've been describing as these sometimes like street brawls between Diddy supporters and other folks who are taping the trial. It is spilling over into the courtroom. Like, regardless how much the judge tries to isolate them from the news and the world outside, it's come to their door.
Yeah, I got to tell you, well, it's come to our front door as well, as most Americans want to know what's going to happen with Sean P. Diddy Combs. Yet again, we have been speaking with Mackenzie Joy Brennan, trial attorney, federal litigation attorney, but yet again, kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. Always good to see you, Mackenzie.
Thank you so much.
You got it. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. This is the Fox 5 Live Zone.
Going up 5, 4, 3, 2.
All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. One of the things I love is when I get a chance to find out who's in the green room coming up for the take. In this case, hey, my guy is here. The one and only, ladies and gentlemen, intern John, Hot 99.5, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Good to see you, my friend.
Been a minute. Good to see you, guys.
It's always cool when my friends come on the show.
Heck yeah. Thanks for having me, dude.
Yeah, but of course. We call this our Thursday Talkers, and it happens to be some of the stories that you guys and girls happen to be talking about at home. I think you're going to like this one. The first one happens to be, well, a young man has actually took to Reddit, and he's complaining about his girlfriend who seems to just, as she talks and she gets excited, she gets louder and louder and louder and louder. And he says, hey, wait a minute. You don't have to actually get so loud in order to get your point across. Now, intern John, I got to tell you, I have dealt with this before.
That's scary.
So, do you think it's okay for someone to just, I get it, she's really involved in this story,
Sure.
and she wants to get her point across. Is that okay?
Listen, it's worse when it's in public and you did something wrong as a guy at the mall and your girl keeps getting louder and everybody's looking around like he messed up and it's like, I'm just going to sit here Just take it like a dog that peed in the house. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
That is just so funny because I've seen it with regard to, let's say you're in an argument,
Sure.
okay, and you're really trying to get your point across, but not necessarily if you're just, hanging out, like you said, at the mall.
Oh
Come
yeah,
on.
yeah. Everybody's looking like he did something wrong, because obviously too, like she probably looks better than we do. Out of our league, like this guy better watch his P's and Q's. You know what I mean?
Definitely has to watch his P's and Q's, and in this case, I think it happened with me when I ordered the wrong hamburger. It was supposed to be like a cheeseburger or something like that.
Oh, that's good though, because like I can't send food back, so having the girl do it for you, like his food's wrong. I'm like, thank you. I'm not an adult.
That's when the guy or gal at McDonald's yells at her instead of
Oh
you.
yeah, and I'll just watch. Yeah. Don't get me involved.
So obviously, we're not doing that. One of the other things that I think is really cool, and I saw this on Reddit as well, and this happens to be a mom who took to Reddit saying, you know what, guys, gals, am I in the wrong? And it all surrounds what she did at Disney World. Now, she has 2 kids. One happens to be 8 years old. The other happens to be 10 years old. And, well, she's recently divorced, and so she took the kids by herself. Well, guess what, Intern John? While there, in order to speed up the process, she put them both in a stroller and actually just walked around Disney World, and whenever they got to whatever ride, they got out the stroller. Well, apparently she's catching a lot of flack. Is she in the wrong?
For how much Disney costs, Mickey Mouse should carry you around. 2 kids?
2 kids.
That's insane.
I
That's a
agree.
mortgage. It's the happiest place on earth, but it's going to cost you. I hope the scooter was electric. Come on, man. It's expensive.
I'm with you on that one. It's so expensive that my family and I, we couldn't afford to go.
Oh, I know.
So
Yeah.
I haven't been as yet.
Yeah, but let her live. It's the kids. The kids are having fun. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's the happiest place on earth.
I'm with you on that. Forget the whole judgment thing. She should get a high five just because she decided to take the kids to Disney World. Who wouldn't love their mom to do just that? And quite honestly, well, if she's not going to push the stroller, maybe Goofy could push it as well.
There is that.
so.
Well, and also the people watching at Disney or any amusement park. There's far worse things to judge people for at theme parks than their kids being in a stroller. You know what I mean? What are we talking about?
You heard it from this man himself, Intern John. You're coming up at 2 o'clock on the take. I am so excited to check you out, man.
I'm very nervous. Live TV scares me, so this is exciting.
Well, this is live, and you.
I know, that's what I'm saying. But guy, me and you are cool. I was walking the lion's den.
You're fine. Marina's going to take care of it. It's a great show. And so, yet again, Intern John, Hot 99.5, coming up at 2 o'clock right here on Fox 5. They call it The Take, but right now, he's on the LZ. Always good to see you, my man.
You too, man. Appreciate it, guy.
All right, guys. Hey, speaking of Disney, did you hear? Disney has a new cruise. It's called the Disney Wish. We're going to speak with a young lady who's broadcasting live from the cruise ship. It's coming up next, right here on the Live Zone. Here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Well, it's no secret the summer travel season is here, and trends show that family trips and luxurious travel are more popular than ever. Now, whether you're looking for a relaxing getaway, a family-friendly adventure, or a magical experience, a cruise could be the right choice this summer. And quite honestly, you wouldn't be alone. According to AAA, a projected 19 million Americans will go on an ocean cruise this year. Travel expert Jeanette Seha now joins us live on board the Disney Wish this afternoon to give us some more inspiration. Jeanette, I got to tell you, when I grow up, I want to be just like you.
Thank you. Oh, it's great. It's a great job. It's great to be here.
How cool is this? So you heard me make mention of the Disney Wish. Where in the heck are you, ma'am?
I'm on board the beautiful Disney Wish here at Castaway Cay. It's Disney's private island destination in the Bahamas.
The only thing that's missing is Mickey Mouse and me. I gotta tell you, this is just, it's an amazing view. And as I'm sitting there looking at you, I'm thinking about planning my summer vacation as well. And so I'm hoping you could provide us with some trends that, well, not only myself, but my viewers should look forward to.
Absolutely. A popular trend in travel right now is family-centric travel. So something for everyone in the family. So multi-generational travel from your grandparents, your parents, to your nieces, your nephews, even toddlers and babies, something that's for everyone. And a recent report found that 58% of young families plan to invite an extended family member on their next vacation. So what better time to then go on a Disney cruise and enjoy all the beautiful destinations like today, Castaway Cay, where we are.
Yeah, so look, I'm waving my hands because, hey, I want to go. I want to be that extended family member. Invite me, please. I'll leave tomorrow. Jeanette, I got to be honest with you. I was thinking about it prior to this interview. I've never been on a cruise. And so to your point, what a great time to do so. Not only that, but they have become rather popular as of late. Do tell.
Absolutely. Like you mentioned before, 19 million Americans are estimated to go on an ocean cruise this year. And the great news is that there's plenty of time for summer travel. Disney Cruise has 4 ships that are sailing out of Florida. There's also a Disney Cruise out of Alaska and even Europe. And the best part is there's 3 vacations in one when you go on a Disney cruise. You get the hassle-free of a luxury cruise. You also only unpack once, which is really nice. You visit tropical destinations like Castaway Cay, where we are today, and you get the magic of Disney. You get to travel with your favorite Disney characters. You get to experience Broadway-style shows. There's even a pirate night, for example, on the Disney Wish. There were fireworks last night, which is something that only Disney Cruise does.
And with that, I'll say, "Arr!" That was my pirate impression.
Yeah.
I still got to work on it.
Yes, yes.
It's
And
funny.
everyone dresses up. Everyone dresses the part. It gets really excited. You see grandparents, you see parents, you see children. It's something for everyone. There's also a kids club. My 2 young nieces personally have loved it in the past. There's also a nursery. Broadway style shows, as I mentioned, that the entire family can enjoy. I saw The Little Mermaid the other night. There's also adult only areas, so you can enjoy, for example, the Quiet Cove. You can lounge at the infinity pool, or you can catch a show. And then something really special is also Disney's signature rotating dining experience, which is a
Wow.
concept where you dine. Yeah, you dine at one of the 3 restaurants. You get to rotate, but the best part is that it's hassle-free. Everything is planned and reserved for you, and you also get a catered service team that follows you along your dining journey, and they remember details about your dietary preferences. For example, what your favorite drink is. Like for me, it's a fresh cup of coffee, or that I'm vegetarian. So everything is really catered to you as a guest, and everyone in the family can enjoy these experiences on the Disney cruise.
Hey, Jeanette, can I add some Kahlua to my coffee? Would I be able to do that? Just a little spicy.
There are bars available. There's lounges, absolutely. There's even a newlywed game for couples out there if you want to do a date night as well, celebrate a special anniversary or birthday. There's really cool places to grab a drink on deck or, on the ship, and places to lounge. Like I mentioned, adult only pools, so you can have that quiet time, catch up on your favorite book, celebrate a special occasion with your family or your loved one. It's perfect for everyone.
Yeah, I love how you keep on touching on the fact that this is a family-friendly affair, if you will. I mean, so many times I have been approached by, let's say, mom and dad, and they say, you know what, we want to completely get away, but we want to bring the kids as well. This is the prime opportunity to do so. You can kill two birds with one stone.
Absolutely. Everyone has a great time. The adults, the children, the teens at the kids club. There's a menu specifically for the children. Again, the catered service team also can help them, assist them with any of their dietary needs. The Broadway style shows, they're fun. Pirate night was last night. Everyone dressed up as pirates. You saw grandparents, children, adults. Everyone was having a great time. And it ended last night, the pirate show, with a fireworks in the seas. It was spectacular. Only Disney Cruise can do that way. Amazing.
Oh my gosh, I'm so jelly, Jeanette. Oh, all right. So look, it's now June, and well, quite honestly, June 5th to be exact, and I haven't started planning yet. Is it too late for me to do so?
The good news is that there's plenty of time for your summer travel. You can check out the different itineraries and the different trips that Disney does, Disney Cruises. You can check it out all on disneycruise.com.
All right. Well, I got to tell you, I'm sold. I'm beyond sold. I need the info. Please do tell me, how do I find out more information?
Yes, definitely. You can check out all the expeditions as well. There's National Geographic expeditions if you want to do something besides a cruise. There's also Adventures by Disney that they offer family curated trips that you can enjoy. Also, Disney Cruise has 4 ships that go out of Florida. There's also Disney Cruise out of Alaska, and then one in Europe. And you can find out all the information as well at disneycruise.com.
Oh gosh, yet again we have been speaking with Jeanette Seha aboard the Disney Wish, and I just wish I happen to be there as well, but I'll have to keep on wishing until I make it happen. This was truly fun. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. Enjoy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. And just like that, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone, and with the magic of TV, voila! Sylvia, our digital content producer, joins us now on the show. Hey!
How are you?
Baby Friday.
Yes, so it's a feel good Baby Friday.
Oh yeah, I beat you to it. Normally you say it.
That's how I know it's on the top of your mind.
Oh yeah, almost. I just get giddy around this time.
Yes.
It's almost the weekend. In this case, I'm getting giddy again because you know what I love, Sylvia? Believe it or not, the Happy Meal from McDonald's.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Loving it.
Loving it. Well, not this Maryland mother.
Uh-oh.
She actually is claiming that she received a returned order from McDonald's where there happened to be a sandwich that was already bitten, that had a bite in it, and then it looked like there was maybe 2 fries, 1 were empty. Now the mother is saying that she believes that this is probably a returned order that whoever was working at this particular McDonald's ended up giving to her wrongfully.
Oh my gosh.
I know a lot of people online were wondering why would she think this, but she did provide photos showing that what her order number was and what the order number was that was actually on the Happy Meal that was given to her.
Okay.
So the Maryland mother is saying that she's very thankful that she happened to check her child's meal before giving it to her child, but she was very disturbed at what was happening here, even asking for management's phone number and corporate number as well, and saying that one employee happened to get a little attitude with her and slammed her the window of her door.
Oh my gosh.
So this is definitely a story that some people are looking at and being a bit peculiar. Some people saying that how do we know this mother did not take a bite on her own? But you know, I'm gonna say because she has those 2 receipts showing the difference between the 2, definitely a questionable situation here.
Why do we have to question this? I mean, I mean, come on. Why would she want all that smoke, as the kids say?
Right.
I mean, it's just, it looks like it was an accident. And thank God McDonald's was really cool about it.
Yeah.
And yet again, I think, you know, I'm thinking about my niece or nephew. I would have probably just given them the food. I would not have opened it up.
I think most people would. You know, you just kind of get the box and it's already packaged, and usually the kids like opening it to get that toy out in the process of that. But yeah, there were a couple of items that were missing. She noticed the numbers were different, so she decided to take a look inside. And I thought it was interesting because her order number was 1344, but this returned order was 1244. So just that one change in that number. But it also raises the question of, why was McDonald's holding on to a returned order in the first place? A lot of unanswered questions here for sure. Something that we'll be keeping an eye on and hopefully we'll have more details on.
And perhaps you should go to Burger King next time where she can
have it her way. I got you today.
There you go. I see you, Cynthia. So I grew up in this area, as did you, and one of the things that we would do every summer as a kid is go to Ocean City.
You know what's crazy, guy? I still have yet not to go. I have not been to Ocean City yet. And I know we had it listed as one of those great travel places. Ocean City was also like ranked as a phenomenal beach in the area. But they're also putting up some new, I would say some new measures this beach season with actually restricting the size of tents that are allowed on the beach. So basically you're only allowed to have a 10 by 10 or smaller. They only want small baby tents allowed. This is something that was approved on Monday, June 2nd, and is effective immediately. The reason that this is done is because officials are hoping to basically allow to have more space on the beach.
Okay.
You know, those larger tents can create a little bit of a hassle, especially if they're not properly nailed down or held down, and also it takes up a lot of space. So they're hoping to free up some space for more people, more visitors to be able to enjoy themselves.
Why did my mind immediately go to think that perhaps some mischief was taking place inside those tents?
OMG, you know what I thought initially? Because so many people talk about this, about how many injuries come from those tents flying up and rolling on the beach. So I thought maybe that had something to do with it potentially. That's funny that that's where your mind went.
By the way, should you and when you ever visit Ocean City, you got to go to Secrets. Hands down, one of the best clubs on the planet.
Ooh, okay.
It's just, I can go all day about it. It's outside, inside, different areas.
Oh, wow,
heavy metal, rap, hip hop.
We love a multi-purpose
old
bar.
school. Oh, it's so great.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah. All right. So put that on your to-do list.
Yes, I'll add it to my list. I have a long list at this point.
Speaking of to-do, we all know that, well, coming right here to the nation's capital, World Pride.
Yes, DC World Pride is taking over the nation's capital this weekend. And there are a lot of things that you can actually get into. Luckily, one of our amazing interns, Kennedy, already put together things to do lists. One of those things being the 17th Street Block Party. We also know that there's going to be Pride on the Pier as well. And there's also going to be that closing concert that's going to include Doechii.
Oh, wow.
Phenomenal
She's
artists
performing?
all around. Yes, you know, we talked about this when she was initially announced.
Okay.
So now we're back at it and it's here. Doechii is coming to DC and will be performing live. And Cynthia Erivo will actually be performing as well. So we're going to have some big names in the city this weekend. Please be mindful that there will be road closures. I know I spoke about it the other day. Visit our website, fox5dc.com, for all of those details, but also be able to click that things to do list. You can check out some options of what you can do around the city.
That is so awesome. And speaking to that, real quick, I heard you make mention of the intern Kennedy.
Yeah.
We just have a new crop of interns here at Fox 5. That's one of the good things about this place. I have worked at places before where the interns just show up and kind of like, here, they actually get to work.
They are getting
and
to
they're
work.
learning.
Yes,
so.
and I think that they're very excited and enthused as well. We always get an amazing bunch of interns here.
Yeah, so shout out to all of our interns that have now joined us for the summer program right here at Fox 5. This is Sylvia, our digital content producer. Hey, before we wrapped up, I want to tell you I had Lamont Roach Jr. on earlier, WBA, super featherweight. God, it's so hard to remember all of that.
That's a mouthful.
I'm telling you, try saying it fast 3 times on live TV, guys. But he is giving back and teamed up with the DC Library to make sure not only is he going to teach kids, you know, the good old 1-2, but how you can use that in order to read better. And what do you mean by that, or what do I mean by that? Is that apparently there's a how-to book, and he's going to speak to them and read with them to encourage kids. And
That's
so we're going to get that posted on our website as well, and that being www.fox5dc.com.
That's
all
right.
Truly appreciate you. Sylvia, with all things that we follow for you right here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Guys, if you haven't already done so yet, make sure you download the Fox Local app. Why? Because you can take us any and everywhere you go.
Right.
The Take, next on Fox 5.